The four favorites for next year's Natty in order are Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. Pretty much the same four teams we've been watching for 5, 6 years now. They have, I believe, the top four recruiting classes, and they've had the top four recruiting classes for 5 or 6 years now. Will, speaking of recruiting, you had something you wanted to say about pipeline states.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been watching college football for a while. Maybe not as much as you, Keith. I feel like your knowledge is more vast. I mean, NCAA football is one of our favorite games of all time.
You suck at it.
I just noticed. I cut out.
You suck
Suck
at
at
it.
it.
He said you suck at NCAA.
I'm undefeated against you. Never lost.
We're back to that.
Same
All
here.
right, cool.
Same
Yeah,
here.
well, you're lucky there's no more NCAA games, but neither here nor there. So yeah, I just was saying to Keith the other day. I was talking about Texas University, USC, Florida. Those are all teams that, like, for most of our childhood was dominant. They were in the national championship every year, or they were at least fighting for it in the Rose Bowl. They were in a big game. They haven't been relevant to me, at least, or even in college football since like 2012. Now it's starting to dissipate to all other states to a point where it's more widespread. You can get almost the same quality of football players at a 6A school in Colorado that you can get at maybe a 4 or 5A school in Texas. Whereas before it used to be like you could get a 3A player in Texas who's going to be way better than the 5A players in Colorado, period.
He took off for 30
I think
yards.
just going off of that in the pipeline states, most successful programs, especially in smaller states, so outside of California, Texas, some of those bigger, more heavily populated states that have those typically better athletes, it's just so important to control recruiting in your state. I think Tad Boyle at CU's done a great job because every year he gets the best player in Colorado to come play basketball for CU.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows the importance of controlling recruiting within your state. To go along with that, though, there are the biggest recruiting states that people go to look for, for football, basketball, pretty much everything is California, Texas, Florida. And so I think that those are probably the most important states to focus on as far as recruiting. But
That's to go along with that. That's one thing that really bugs me about how CU and CSU run their football programs
Absolutely.
is they don't even bother trying to win their state recruiting Colorado football
Absolutely.
kids, and that's how kids
not
like
football, basketball, though, for sure.
basketball. Tad Boyle does a great job, but like football, like that's how kids like Kane Coulter end up at Northwestern. Who's the kid that went to Kansas State?
McCaffrey went to
Yeah, McCaffrey was
Stanford.
So
Stanford. Yep.
Stanford. His little brother, though. Sorry.
all
Notre
four
Dame.
all four
Michigan,
McCaffreys
Yep.
were misrecruited. CU and CSU didn't recruit Max at all. He went to Duke. CU and CSU lost out on Christian and Luke because they wouldn't promise them offensive reps. CU wanted Christian to play safety, and he's obviously a pretty good running back. So
I think a big thing with the pipeline states is the technology has grown, right? Like our ability to make those reaches, like the schools to go out and be like, we don't actually have to go to that game. Like the film is much better, and like we can,
Somebody can go
talk to those
viral
recruits.
with a video.
Exactly, within one game, someone can go viral.
I just
that
think the
helps
top
them.
echelon of recruits isn't as great disparity wise as it was before. I think that you can get a 5A player from Colorado who can actually compete and do well in Christian McCaffrey, i.e., go on to be an NFL player, versus beforehand, like kind of what Keith was saying. If you got somebody who is a 3A from California versus a 5A from Colorado, you'd be like, yeah, I'll take that 3A.
Oh no, our coaches as well. Like even if we were like all coaches, like right now in high school and stuff like that, is like where would you want to go coach? You know what I mean? Where do you think you'd find
Yeah.
the opportunity to have good athletes and kids who pay attention? Keith struggles with that a lot. You know, people who actually want to play.
to go with Alex's point, I think one thing that also helps recruits like are willing to travel further, because with technology and stuff, home's not as far away anymore.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So like I think kids from Florida are more willing to go to Ohio State because they can Zoom call their mom, or their mom, if like they're out of money, their mom can just Venmo them.
Out of
She doesn't
money.
have-
Lol.
yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
What I think is kind of cool about basketball, I do talk shit about it quite a bit as far as like playoffs is the only time it's good for the NBA and blah, blah, blah. But it is less of a team sport, but also better for like, I love the idea that somebody can, like a high school player can be like, yeah, I'm going to go to this college and actually put it on the map. Because in football, there's no high school recruit that can go to a college and bring them on the map. But recently with the whole HPCU, right? What's his name? He committed, or he's talking about committing to?
Top class of 2021. Spot on with that. The HPCU. I'm glad that you brought that up, is because I like bow down to like the kids that want to do that stuff like this. Put their HPCUs back on the map. You know what I mean? You got like all these great
Brown
schools that
University.
aren't really known for sports, but we're known for culture and a lot of the institute heritage. You know what I mean? But have any of them really like won a national championship and been like in the argument for football? Nah, not so ever. But they're gonna be like pioneers to this shit.
I'm not sure which. I don't think it's D2. I think they play in their own division. But like Grambling State historically is one of the greatest college football programs ever.
Yeah.
They've won a few national titles in their branch or whatever. But there's a lot of football players talking about going HBCU, and there's a lot of coaches and not recruiters, but those people that like offer recruiting services. They're
Yeah.
like directing kids to go to
As
HBCUs.
they
So
should.
And that's why I love it. I think it will have effect on football. I hope it's sooner than later. It's going to take a while, obviously, but it'd be nice to start seeing, more of a variety of schools in college football that
It's
are
the
doing it.
Thanos balance. They call it the Thanos balance.